It's Yuri,
And Stephanie.
and we're here today for our first girly chat.
Yes, I'm so excited. I feel like we have these chats constantly as friends, and I think bringing it to you guys would be very beneficial and fun.
Yeah, so we definitely love being with our other girly pop community. So we wanted to have these videos to like open up any questions you guys have. Maybe you guys relate to us. We wanted to also start off with a like 3 facts about us. So maybe you know about me, but you've never seen Steph before. Maybe you know Steph and never have seen me before.
Yeah.
So go ahead and start with your 3 things about you.
Okay, so right off the top of my head, I'm a mom, a first time mom to a beautiful 1 year old daughter. I'm first gen Mexican American and I love all things creative. I love to content create, I love to craft, dance, anything that involves using my creative mind, I'm all for.
Cute. And for me, I am from Southeast LA, very proud of my community. And I am in my late 20s. And I'm also a business owner. I have a coffee cart. We do a lot of coffee catering and hopefully open up a shop one day.
Yes.
I do that with my husband. So we'll get into that later on. We definitely, if you guys have questions for us, we're going to be down to answer them on the next video. You guys can put them in the comments. But definitely, you guys will get to know us as we make more videos and more topics come up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited.
And we were talking about earlier, we were kind of remembering like how we met. Do you want
Yeah.
to tell them?
Yes. Okay. So we only knew each other online by this time. We had both been creating content and we were mutuals of each other and supporting each other online. And then Yuri reached out and she hosted a very cute event. It was for Valentine's Day. So she did a Valentine's theme event and she invited creators. And this was my first like creator event ever. And so I was so honestly so excited, so honored yet nervous to go. But I ended up going and just being there and getting to know her. It really led to this beautiful friendship that we have now. And it's just a very nice, fond memory that I have from like my beginning in content creation and also the beginning of our friendship. Yeah.
Yes. So I've been doing content creation for probably like a little over 2 years. I feel like I definitely took it serious the beginning of 2023. So I do think that that is like what we bond over, how we, I guess like how we met, how I mentioned. So I had found Stephanie like I think on Instagram. I don't think TikTok. I think Instagram. Like you had
Was
popped
it?
up. Yeah.
I always thought it was TikTok, but
Really?
maybe, yeah, maybe it was Instagram.
That's so funny because I don't think you've ever asked me. We never really talked about like how we met, but I do remember seeing, I think it was like one of your like trips to Mexico or
Yeah.
like somewhere, and it was super cute that caught
Yeah.
like my eye, and I was like, I'm gonna follow her because she posts like cute things.
Yeah.
And then around that time, it had to have been only a few months after that, I had ended up hosting a Galentine's,
Yeah.
and there was a select few people that I just really liked their vibe or really
Yeah.
wanted to like connect. And at the time, we were kind of coming out of the pandemic. So I feel like a lot of people were craving like in person, like community, like other girls who were interested in the same thing, which is like
Yeah.
content creation, makeup, beauty,
Yeah.
fashion, like all the girly things, which I love. And I was also very nervous to host that event. It was in a old house that I ended up, a house that I was living in back then, and that was very like nervous for me, right? To have people
Yeah.
over to also like meet a lot of the girls for the first time. Some of them I had already met before and were friends
Yeah.
also. But definitely like Steph, like I had invited her and she came, and I'm so happy because that definitely did end up us becoming closer
Yeah.
and like having this friendship that I also love. And I kind of love the story too because it's not really like the traditional way of like making friends.
And I think that's so important to like to kind of like chime in just a bit, but like making friends when you're adults is something that I don't really hear people talk about, and how
Yeah.
tricky it can be, and how there's not many opportunities to make friends unless you make like those opportunities for yourself. And so I think this was like a great way for community, but also to make those adult friends that you want to have when you're an
I
adult.
think, yeah, I think it's so funny too because I feel like during the pandemic, there very much like was meeting other social friends like
Yeah.
online and like always making plans like we should
Yeah.
do this, we should go take photos, we should go to this coffee shop, but like we would never actually do it.
Do it. Yeah, I know.
like I mean I'm not gonna name drop anybody, but I do feel like myself I was trying to build that connection,
Yeah.
but I never was going through with it because it was so like nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And like you said, like adult friendships, it's because it's like how do you escape? You meet up and like let's say you're not vibing, it's like
Yeah.
it very much feels like a first date.
Yes.
Like with
And I guess for me, I was so nervous like that day. I had never met Yuri in real life. I was newer to the area, so I'm originally from OC, from Santa Ana. I moved out here to East Los in 2022, so this was around like that same time frame where everything was new to me. I was like so excited to meet new people. But of course I was nervous. And so I just remember feeling like anxious on my way there. Sal, my fiance, he was like, it's going to be fine. Like, have fun. And, it was just like this big deal to me because I was like, whoa, like this is my first time getting to know people outside of what I already knew. And so I just remember it just being like it turned out to be such a great moment, but leading up to it, like that nervousness and like anxiousness for sure was there. And I just feel like a lot of people can relate because no one tells you how to make friends when you're an adult. And again, there's like no rule book to make friends, but I do think there are less opportunities to make friends versus like when you're at school where, you see the same people every day. But it turned out to be like beautiful because of
yeah.
our friendship now. Yeah.
I know. I think as a host, I remember that day like obviously like you want to make sure everything's good,
Yeah.
everyone's taken care of, people are mingling, and I think it was great. And there was a moment where it was kind of like everyone's nervous and stuff,
Yeah.
but I think overall it was a great event, and like I'm so happy that our friendship came out of that. Something else I wanted to say that you mentioned was the making the opportunities and going out of your
Yeah.
way to make friendships because it is true like most friends are people you knew from school,
Yeah.
high school, maybe
Work.
college. Work is such a good example, but like when you don't have the best environments like at work, or
Yeah.
like maybe you didn't take the time to meet other people in college because you had to go to class, go
Yeah.
home, go to work, go to like it wasn't the best dynamic. You really do have to go out of your way, and especially if you
Step out of
experience like friend breakups, which
Yeah,
Steph
I
knows.
know.
I definitely, I mean, I won't go into it now. Maybe
Aw.
maybe a different episode because I don't want to start deep. But I think that
Yeah.
friend breakups is a common thing.
Yeah.
It is, maybe we don't talk about it a lot. At the time that it happened to me, I really like thought like this is an original experience.
Yeah.
And it's
Like,
not.
yeah, you're all alone,
Yeah, like,
navigating, but
it's
no.
not. I
Yeah.
see it on TikTok all the time. People having story times and saying like
Yeah.
what has happened to them. And so now that I'm getting closer to my 30s, it's very eye opening for me that I'm so glad that it wasn't just something that happened to me,
Yeah.
and very much it does happen to a lot of people, and it's normal. I think it's normal in like life because people grow out of like
For sure.
things they used to like, they don't like, people grow apart, but it's not always in a bad way. Sometimes it's people have children,
Yeah.
people move, some people move like states, so you just are mutual friends. So
Yeah.
there's so many things,
Yeah.
there's so many things, and it's a beautiful and sad thing, we
Yeah,
just have
for
to
sure.
choose our perspective.
Yeah, and like you were talking about, you grow up and there's just like different factors that can lead into like friendship breakups. I do think like a big one too is just like outgrowing people. I feel like people come into your life for seasons sometimes, and it's important to, nurture that as much as you can. And then if the friendship doesn't work out, then you kind of just have to let it go. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't cut deep, because those memories and that connection that you had with them, like it meant a lot. And so I feel you when you talk about your friendship breakup. And yeah, I do think that is a very, very common thing that women go through and friends go through. But like you said, I think with age and as you get older, like you start to realize like, okay, maybe it wasn't how I was viewing it back then, and maybe it was this other thing. And I think the important thing is to honor it and then just let it be, let it go,
Yeah, so
and like move forward. But yeah, we can definitely talk about that more because I feel like I've had those same experiences. Maybe not a true like cut off of a friendship, but where the friendship does kind of fade away, and that does also hurt. But
yeah. Going back to that event, well, if you guys don't know, I wear a lot of hats. I
yeah,
like to do a lot of things. I'm also creative. Steph's
yes,
creative. I'm creative. We have a lot of things in common,
yes,
which is fun and cute. And um, aside from my coffee business, I did have a like social media business, which I feel like more is like a project now because I don't have too much time on my hands. And I do want to like have that grow, but maybe at a later time. But at the time that I threw that event, it was so it's called Sueños Social. You guys can check on Instagram, and it's really fun and
yes,
cute, and it's meant to like um, connect with other Latina women who are in content creation. Like I mentioned, I've been doing it for about 2-3 years.
hmm
You as well,
I
right?
would say about the same time. I think I started taking it more serious about 2, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe 3 years ago.
And actually, throwback, like if I'm really thinking about my first event, I remember it was early 2023 and I had got invited to a JVN like hair event.
Yeah,
And it was in, I think, like Hollywood or West Hollywood. And I was so
yeah,
nervous. I was
yeah.
so nervous too. And I took my husband.
A man?
Like, oh my god, I know it sounds so funny, and now I'm so like I love to do things with like my girly
Yeah.
pops because it just has such a different energy, different vibe. But this was like my first one, and I just felt like no, 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 no. Like I need to take
That like
someone that I
security
know.
blanket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is
Yeah.
security blanket. Like I was like I need to take someone that I know, and I needed to. I didn't really have that many like girly pops that I could just call and be like, okay, do you want to go? You know.
Yeah.
But also it was like I think it was like still COVID was very much like a thing. And I think if I am not wrong, I think we ended up getting COVID after we went to that
No
event.
way.
Which is you know
What?
what's so funny? That we were trying so hard. Like the
To
whole
stay
time from like
away.
2020 to like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like 2022.
Yeah.
We were trying, wait, yeah, it was 2022. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack. But we were trying so hard not to get sick. Like
Yeah.
Lysol wipes, like everything, the whole shebang.
And the one time.
Uh-huh. And it was like when things started to kind of like loosen
Yeah.
up and stuff like that. And we had a good time, but we
Yeah.
had drinks that they were serving.
Yeah.
And I just think like maybe, obviously like the mingling,
It's like
the
in the air.
Yeah, yeah.
Circling around.
And we were all close, it was like a
Yeah.
pretty like close
All sweaty.
like area.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually ended up getting sick after that. So
No.
no, but I mean, it was still a fun experience.
Yeah.
I remember I left with like a bag filled of like hair
Yeah.
products, and I loved it. I loved it,
Yeah.
and it definitely was my like motivation to keep going because I was like, is this what it's like? It was just such a beautiful experience. And then the next day I actually went back. I wasn't sick yet, but like I had went back because they were having hair appointments. And if you know me,
Oh,
I love me a
cool.
blowout.
Yes, she does.
Not today, maybe in the next episode, but I do love me a blowout. So I went back and it was
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I met one of my other social friends too. I think she was working there at the time. But beautiful experience, and I was also very nervous.
Yeah.
I met there was a few mutuals there that I had seen online. I think that's such a good feeling too. Like when you have a social friend, then you finally meet, but like by coincidence that you're both at the same event.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was my first. I know you shared your first. I was like, I'm gonna share
Yeah.
my first. What about your first like brand event?
Brad, honestly, I'm trying to think, and I don't remember like my first
You
where
remember.
I'm like I know the events that I've gone to, but I don't remember which one was like my first one after like that
Which one do you
creator event.
think? Which one do you think?
I'm thinking if this was 2022. Honestly, I think it might have been with you. One that we've
I was like,
went
where do we
to
go?
together.
Oh, what about the
Would it be Half Magic?
Yeah, Half Magic.
Y-
Yeah.
I honestly maybe I think it could have been my first like brand event.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I went with Sueños Socials, which is
Ooh.
her social networking business. Um, oh my gosh, like it was at Bootsy Bellows in
So fun.
WeHo. Yeah, literally so fun. And Half Magic, the owner, she is the makeup artist for Euphoria. And so all about like the crystals, the gems, sparkly goodness, all that stuff. And so the event itself was like so cute, so cute, like amazing. Um, and I think being there and like seeing like, whoa, like this is a reality for so many girls, like people like me, like that this can be a reality for me of like being invited to these things and being in spaces that I would have never thought was possible
Yeah.
for me. That to me was just everything, honestly. And the owner showed up and she gave a little shout out. We got to take a picture with her, and
Yes.
it was honestly just inspiring and overall such a fun night that I'll
I love that
remember.
night. I
Yeah,
love that
I
night
love that
because
night.
I will say that I felt
Yeah.
like it was something out of my comfort zone. And I feel like when I started going like mid to late 20s, I really wanted to emphasize that. Like, I need to start doing things that are more out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I remember, even though I will say that we did go in a little group of girlies.
Yes, we did.
So I was super comfortable and it
Yes.
was super fun, but out of the comfort zone in the way that I don't really go to like dance clubs. I
Yeah.
don't really go. Clubs have never been my scene because I was very introverted growing up. And even when I started to be like a young adult, um, I always felt like an outcast when
Yeah.
it came down to like dancing, like drinking, going out. Like, I don't know. That's always just been like,
It wasn't your thing, like growing up.
yeah. I mean, I love it for everybody else, and I wanted to kind of be included, but I was just so shy that I could not picture myself like doing that.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I would say that this event was definitely that vibe
Yeah.
of like club like
Yeah.
dancing. It was at Bootsy Bellows, which is in WeHo. So it's definitely that vibe that she's talking about. And so I can see like why that could be like out of your
Yeah.
comfort zone. But going in a group does for sure always help.
Yeah. And so I was
Yeah.
still so happy that I was taking that step, that I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? It is this that I'm not familiar with,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to do it. You know, like I'm just gonna do it. I want, like, if it's gonna open doors, if it's gonna help my
Yeah.
journey, like I'm just gonna do it. And like honestly, so grateful that we all went as a group. It was probably like a group of 5 of us.
Yeah.
And it was ended up being so much fun.
So fun.
And we danced. We got little crystals on our
Yes.
eyes, makeup
Yes.
done.
Drinks. We had a little bit of drinks.
Yes, all the photos.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything. The
Our
vibe,
favorite part.
The vibe. No, the vibe was just like on another level. It was so fun. Yeah.
Well, here's
I'm-
to hopefully more of
yeah.
those type of events.
Yes.
Let us know.
Yeah.
If you're a brand and you're looking at this, please. We have
Please
so much fun.
invite us.
We have so much fun on top of that. We
Yeah.
take a really good content and we
Yes.
make sure to document the event very well.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's like one of my favorite parts about creating content is the actual like process of creating. I really do enjoy like putting together a vision I might have in my head. I think that's what really keeps me like continuing to create the content. So I really do like try my best to go all out for when we do have these events and brands sending us
And
things.
we will be putting our Instagram and TikTok in the bottom, in the bio.
Yeah, in the bio.
In the comment box, wherever, so that you guys can follow our journey.
Yeah.
We're still on our journey. I mean, it never ends,
sure.
and we're trying our best.
Yeah.
And we have an event coming up on Thursday, so
I'm
in a
so
few
excited for that,
days.
yeah.
And so follow us along if you guys want to see that. It should be fun.
Yeah, it will be very fun. It's skincare related, so for all the beauty girlies, make sure to stay tuned so that you can see all that goodness happening.
Yes. A little sneak peek.
Yes.
Skincare.
Yes,
Which,
skincare.
oof, I need skincare because right now I've been struggling.
No, yeah. I think it's honestly like the weather changes. As much as people say like, oh, you know, it's because of the season, I never really like agreed with it because I never really paid attention to my skin like that. But I think as we get older, like you realize your skin is, you know, such an important thing to take care of. And even little things like that do affect the way that your skin performs. And so
What's your favorite skincare brand?
Honestly, I'm really loving Versed. I love them so
Mm.
much. So Verse, now available at Target. They have a skincare slash makeup line. So your makeup has skincare products in it. And
Mm.
so I always feel like I'm doing like a 2-in-1 when I'm using them. But honestly, they've just worked really well on my skin and I love them.
Hashtag beauty hack. No.
Yeah, yeah, get like a combo.
Really,
No, really.
really.
I think as I've gotten older, I'm really into like more of like a minimal makeup take, whereas before I
Mm.
was really into like I'm thinking like 2016 era. I'm
I was about to
thinking
say. I was about to say 2016 makeup.
like yes, literally, I was very much into that and playing with eyeshadow and all of that. But as I've gotten older, and I think being a mom plays into this too, um, just
Something quick and fast and
yes,
easy.
something that already kind of like highlights my features. So, something that's going to enhance my features where I still look like me, but like a better version of me, like when I'm not wearing
Yes.
makeup. But yeah, I really love First.
You
What
know
about
what
you?
I'll say? Okay, I'll tell you mine after. But you
Yes.
know what I'll say about
Yes.
what you just said and why I love that is I used to also love 2016 makeup and I love full coverage.
Yeah.
I just love, right? It looks
Yeah.
so beautiful, it looks flawless,
Yes.
smooth. But then I was like, okay, this is kind of a lot for an everyday.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
and I think the biggest downside is like, okay, I go to work every day, right, guys?
Yeah.
Little tip, well, not tip, but fun fact is I have
Go
a
to
full,
work.
we'll see you in the office tomorrow. Is I have sadly a full-time job. So this is what I meant about all the hats. Like we do
Yeah.
not have enough time in the day because I do
Really
a lot
don't.
of things, but for having going to work
Yeah.
every day, I feel like full beat Monday, then Tuesday. I'm so like minimal, and it's like I feel like
Your
people
skin's
can
like, girl,
tell.
please let it rest.
I feel like people can tell, and I just
Yeah.
don't like. Okay, beauty girlies,
Yeah.
no, okay, she did a full beat, cute.
Yeah.
Next day, oh, she did a little minimal, like this is cute too, right? Like no judgment, but when
Yeah.
you're around other people who don't know about makeup, don't know about beauty, it's like foreign to them. I feel like you can see the reaction on their face, and like.
Or the fucking infamous question, are you feeling okay? Are you sick? You look a little tired.
Yes, the
Yeah.
tired, huh?
Yeah.
Are you tired today?
Yeah.
Yes, Rebecca. It's
God
Tuesday.
forbid I don't do a full beat. Yeah, on a fucking Wednesday at 6 a.m.
Okay, yeah, and so that's why I really do think that minimal or like how you said a 2-in-1, like very natural
Yeah.
makeup does come through.
Yeah.
It really does come through. And my favorite brand for skincare,
Yeah.
skincare,
Skincare, makeup. What's your go-to right now?
Mm.
I know you were telling me about like your new skincare routine.
Oh yeah. So right now I've been loving putting like the ordinary and the inky list like products,
yeah.
which is you can find them at Sephora, but it is like very lightweight serums and
Yeah.
like I really like a serum because it doesn't feel thick. But I've kind of been doing like a hyaluronic acid and like an eye serum. I was doing like this elixir, and I'm not gonna lie, like I think I still need to like continue to use the products to see like a difference. But I started to, so as a girly who's in her late 20s, going to her 30s, I finally went to the dermatologist. Well, I have gotten this prescribed before, but I
Yeah.
feel like now it's time for me to take it serious.
Yeah.
Is they prescribed me tretinoin or whatever, which is like I think a retinol, and that's meant to like help you with exfoliation for your face. And it's one of the main reasons why also a lot of girlies in their 30s are like glowing or and up are glowing. And every time I have asked a girly who's like super bright and glowing, and they're like, oh well, yeah, I use retinol. And like you see some products like even drugstore does have like retinol in it.
Yeah.
But I recommend getting it prescribed because that's going to be like the purest form. It doesn't have like
Yeah.
anything else in it.
And a professional take too, because not everything is like uh, it's gonna fit
Dermatologist
everybody
tested?
that you
Yeah.
see online. Like something that works for a girly will not might not work on you. So I
Yeah.
think a dermatologist is the way to go.
Yeah, so at least for the introduction of it, right? Like trying to figure out if it works for you or not. I have heard though, because I'm only on like my first week of it and I'm gonna stick to it. I have heard that sometimes people like don't go through the first stage of it because you might peel. you might peel and like obviously are like you don't want to use this product anymore.
Like get a reaction.
And you kind of want to discontinue. You feel a little more dry, so you do have to use more moisturizer during that time. And you also want to transition, like maybe you want to do it every other day, maybe you want to do it two to three times a week. And I would say I'm gonna keep doing it because I think you need to get through that rough patch to end up looking like the glowy goddess
that you are. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at right now with skincare. I think simple for skincare is like the way to go.
The way to go. Yeah, like would you say that you're into like using a bunch of different products at once? Or are you more like sticking to what you already know and just kind of writing them out?
I'm bad at that. I'm gonna say I'm a little bad at that because I feel like I'm very impatient. So if I use a product for like, if I use a product one time and the next day I see little tiny bumps on my face, I won't use it again. Yeah, because I'm so scared that like I'm just gonna make these bumps worse. Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
No, I mean actually, now thinking about it, I guess like when you get that first like skin reaction to a certain product that you're using. Yeah, like why would you want to continue using it, right? Because you're good. I don't know why I said
not medical advice, but I'm
good. No, but I think I would be the same.
But I'm trying.
Yeah.
But I'm trying. Like right now with these serums and stuff, like I'm really trying to keep the routine and I'm trying because I feel like that's the only way things are gonna work.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. And speaking about like skincare and preventative takes and getting into like our late 20s, going into our 30s, what is your take on like Botox? Would you try Botox? Have you tried Botox?
It's so funny you bring that up because it has been on my mind. Like it has been on my mind it's been on my mind in general because I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to Botox. I just think like maybe don't overdo it. But I do love like how it looks. Like they call it baby talks where you start for a little bit. I love how it looks. I was so tempted because I used ClassPass and it was on there one time and I was like, I didn't know that the credits were going to roll over. So I was just really trying to use my credits. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to use it for Botox.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it. I ended up getting a facial because I just felt like I didn't know if I wanted to like pull the plug yet, you know, like if I wanted to like, well, I feel like once you start, like maybe it's good to like keep it up, right? Whether it's like once a year, twice, whatever the professionals say, you know. But I'm not opposed. Like I kind of like want to do it, but I'm just like, at what point? I know they say going into the 30s is like the best, but
I like, you know how you're talking about like Botox and baby Botox. I have seen like the girlies that do have like such a very nice like smooth glowy complexion. More often than not, I do notice that they mention that they get Botox. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, like growing up, I thought Botox was like once you're old, once you're like 40, 50 and you want to get rid of wrinkles. But as I'm, you know, in my 20s now, I've learned that it's more so of a preventative take where you want to get it before you do develop these wrinkles.
Before we're all wrinkly. We can't be 60 and be like, all right, give me that Botox.
So it's definitely something that I'm not opposed to either.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, it's something new for me, something foreign. I didn't grow up seeing it being used. Like my family, my mom, none of them ever used Botox. So it's just something that I don't really have much knowledge on, but I'm definitely not opposed. I think at one point I will get Botox.
At what point?
At one point.
At one point, we will go together.
Yes. We'll vlog that for you guys.
And I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh, about the glow? I want that Botox glow. Yes. It's not even about the wrinkles, but it's so
the
true.
The glow that they get, yeah.
It's so true. I don't know if like it's because it helps with acne or what, but they have like the smoothest base without any makeup. And I'm like, that is actually like the main reason. Because I was telling Stephanie that the reason I got a facial was because I've been feeling really dull. And that's why I ended up getting the facial versus the Botox. But I feel like I need to use them to do it like together. in addition to each other, because I think that'd be like the ultimate thing. And like I'm so down for that Botox glow.
That
because
glow up that you're gonna be getting with that, yeah.
They look beautiful.
Yes. I'm like thinking of one girl, I think her name is Tatiana.
Ooh, yeah. Does she get Botox? Yeah.
I think she does, doesn't she?
I'm not sure.
You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah.
Her skin is
Wellness cutie
flawless.
pie girly.
Flawless. Like, I want her skin. It's so
Yeah. But you know
good.
what I will say though too about her and other girls that also have skin like that. But obviously like there's different groups. So some of them like they just have a big focus on the gut health.
Of course,
And I
yeah.
think that one is always gonna be number one. That one's always gonna be
Above
number
everything
one.
else,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she does a lot for her like gut health. And so I wish I'm doing baby steps for
Yeah.
that. But I wish that that would just be like the sole purpose of like why I glow. But to be honest, if I'm thinking about like my
Your
everyday, my
everyday.
routine, and what I do, it's like I would probably need all of those
Yeah.
combined, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
And like you said, baby steps. It's not going to happen overnight. And those are just habits, that you have to break and
Yeah.
just get into little by little. But as long as you're working towards it, you're good.
Speaking about habits
Yes.
that we have to break, I'm so happy that this is my first official week of getting 10K steps every day. Thank you, thank you.
Congrats.
You guys, this is like a big deal for me for multiple
Yes.
reasons. One, they say walking helps a lot for weight loss. And I know that we think about walking and we're like, no, I need to be running. I need to be running marathons.
Yeah.
I need to be, like lifting heavy weights in order to lose weight. And obviously, there's a plan for everybody, and walking really does work. There's people, that have the proof. And so, I was like, baby steps. I'm gonna start walking,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna start getting them 10K steps. And it's crazy to think that like I used to check my steps before when I was like
Yeah.
not doing anything. I was like barely getting 5K
Really?
Barely.
Like just your everyday going to work.
everyday.
Doing, wow.
because I wasn't walking.
Yeah.
I was like going, like I would be at work and I just wasn't motivated like to go walk on my 15,
Yeah.
to go walk on my lunch. Like because sometimes I just I don't work. Well, where I work is okay, but anywhere anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if I could like reduce the, risk of like something crazy happening, whether that's like an accident, an encounter with somebody. But now I'm just like, my goal is greater than that, and I have to be above like anything can happen anytime. So I was just like, you know what, my goal is greater than this, and I'm just gonna stick to it, and I'm gonna do it. And I feel like it's crazy once you take that leap, like, oh, like
It's not so bad.
easy.
Yeah.
Like so easy. Like why was it?
The water. I'm sorry. That was
okay.
the water dispenser.
But like all scared, jump scared. Yeah, like it's just crazy. Like once you actually take the first
Yeah.
steps and you start to do it, like you're just like, wow, I could have been doing this like
Yeah.
for a long time. And so right now I'm just so proud that I'm actually being consistent about it, because
Yeah.
if there's one thing about anything and your goals and like your dreams and like you want to see results, it's like your biggest thing is always going to be consistency.
Consistency, for
Um,
sure.
I'm so happy. And so, like you said, breaking habits, I'm very happy about that one. Not only is it good for like weight loss, but mental health is the biggest thing. And it's just so beautiful to be right now. It's spring, so it's just so
Yes.
beautiful to be outside, fresh
Yes,
air.
yes.
The weather is good, and all of the cutie flowers, because I love flowers.
Summer's approaching. The sun being out just changes my mood so much. Like, I am not me without some sunshine. Like, I need the sunshine.
Is that your
So,
favorite?
For sure,
season?
summer, but some of spring too. I don't do well in the colds. I don't do well in the
Me
rain.
either.
I need to feel like I'm on vacation like all the time with the weather.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with you. I think consistency is such a big factor, and it plays so much into reaching your goals and meeting those expectations that you set for yourself. And also, like, it's not the easiest thing to do. Like, staying consistent truly is like a challenge in itself a lot of times. I know for me right now, it kind of is with like my content creation, and with being like a full-time mom. I'm staying at home right now currently, so I don't have all the time to devote to my craft, if you will, but like baby steps, little by little. I think right now I'm in a season where as long as I'm taking those baby steps towards a specific goal, then I'm happy. So I definitely totally agree with that.
I love that you said that it's like you're happy with just at least being like at some point in your journey, like, like A to B, but you're okay with being like in the middle,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing because for the longest, like for me, I feel like I was always so hard on myself, and like you really have to take a moment to like remove yourself from your own situation and reflect and be like, well, what did I get done? Like, what goals did I reach? Like, it's really important to make baby goals, you know?
Yes.
And I was actually just telling Steph earlier about like weight goals as well. And I've transitioned into doing like smaller pounds versus like, oh my God, well, I know I want to do 30 and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do 30 by X amount of time. Like, I'm going to be so sad. Like, no, you
Yeah.
know, baby steps for everything is beautiful. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was mentioning to you like it can get so tricky when you do set like a specific goal, but if that goal sounds too big or it may seem out of reach in that moment, you can very like easily fall off of that track. And I think setting intentional goals that you can meet in a week or that you can meet by next week, I think that is really what kind of keeps us going into reaching those goals and keeping us on track. So, you know, I'm very big on setting those baby goals to get to that ultimate goal that we truly want at the
yeah.
end.
What motivates you to stay consistent?
Ooh, honestly, I think for me, it's knowing that I'm doing something that I love and continuing to do that. I think I'm always thinking like, this actually makes me happy. Like when I'm doing, whether that be content creating or um, dancing, I love to dance. Just any things, any specific goals that I have for myself. In the end, those things truly make me happy. And when I'm doing them or when I'm doing things to reach those goals, I always think of that feeling that I get when I am doing that specific thing. And that to me is what motivates me. And my daughter, too. I do want to be able to show her that anything is possible.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But I think overall, it's the feeling and content and joy that I get from doing those things.
It kind of reminds me of like when people say like nobody leaves the gym feeling like they regret that workout.
Yeah.
And it's like such a great feeling when you leave and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm so happy I did
Yeah.
that. So it's like that beautiful feeling that fills you that you're like, I want to keep doing this.
Exactly.
Right? Oh,
Yes,
it reminds me of
exactly.
that.
What about you? What motivates you?
What motivates me is my parents, being first generation. Like, I just feel, and like it's a pro and a con because you want more for yourself, you want to
Yeah.
give back to your family. It's a con because I feel like it's a big pressure. So I'm right now I'm kind of trying to balance between the two because I feel like for the longest, maybe the last few years, the pressure like over like powered the more beautiful part of it where it's like I want to give back to my family. I want to like quote unquote make it, you know, like for them. Um and so it overpowered. Now I'm trying to give myself like grace. Would that be the correct word?
Yeah.
And be like, you know, well, things don't happen overnight. You know,
Yeah.
things, it's okay. Like, as long as they keep going. Kind of like I mentioned, like removing yourself and then looking at the progress. And if it was someone else, would you feel like they were doing a lot or not enough, you know? And more, I think you take yourself out of the equation and figure out, like, wait, I have done a lot. I'm doing good. Wait, I'm doing
Yeah.
things on my goal list, you know? So what motivates me is my family. Now I'm trying to balance that of not trying to feel like rushed and stuff. But I would say them because I just feel like their sacrifice is just like so big
Yeah.
that it makes me want to reach goals and show them like
Yeah.
honestly like they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're not like, "Oh my God, like she's doing the most so that she can, be on YouTube and like make
Yeah.
money and help us." Like they don't see that because I'm not here to be like, "Look at what I'm doing, guys.
Yeah.
Look at what I'm doing." And but it's funny, but I would say them because I really do want to have like that moment, that moment of like, ma, like I bought a house,
Yeah.
right? Like that's such a beautiful feeling, like that I want to feel hopefully in the near future. But it's like I bought a house because I did this, and I was able to do this because you guys came here. It's like such a beautiful thing. So I obviously haven't had that exact moment yet where I feel like I can present that to my parents.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what motivates me and gets me to keep going because I do want to have that moment.
That is so sweet. Yeah. Like right now, that sentence that you said, like, that you want to present to your parents, like
Yeah.
all your hard work and all the sacrifice that you make. Like that is so touching, and
Yeah.
you will get there. You know, everything
Pray
is
for me, guys.
possible.
Nah.
She will get there. I know she will.
Cry.
No, but that is so beautiful, and that is so touching that your parents are, you know, so influential on your everyday. And I see it. She is
Yeah.
a very like family oriented person, and
Yeah.
so you're gonna get there. I already know.
Aw, thank you.
And speaking about parents, we're both first gen
Ooh.
Mexican American. What would you say are some of the things that you've faced as a first gen, or how does that, I guess, impact you in your everyday? Maybe not every day, but what does that mean to you, like to be first gen? That's kind
Good
of a deep question,
question.
huh?
Deep. Okay, so I never really thought about it like
Yeah.
my whole life until high school, going to college. I was like, wait, they were asking
Yeah.
questions about the parents, if they went to school, if they went to college, and then that's when you started to kind of hear like, you're gonna be the first. You're gonna be the
Yeah.
first to go. Like, you know, it was very motivating, and that was kind of like one of the big selling points. I feel like at my high school, it was like this big accomplishment that you could sign up for, right? And that's the first time I was hearing that, and I think for the longest I didn't really like think too hard about it until more recently, where um it kind like bonding, not bonding, but like connecting to other people that were talking about it online as well, like, oh, first generation doing this and doing that. And I thought like, wow, my journey really is different from other people, different from people that you probably have met at work or seen at other places. And I think for the longest I kind of had like those goggles on where I just really thought like everybody experienced the same thing. And no, that's so untrue. Some people like didn't have to experience like first generation struggles, which is like having to figure out everything on your own, having no one to ask questions to, like not really having guidance. And some, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like saying that because I kind of feel like it makes me like, I don't like, okay, I don't want to make it seem like my parents didn't do enough to like help guide me. I know that they just already had a lot to do, right? Like put a roof over our head, like keep working, like prioritize that because they already had to put in so much work. So I don't like saying like I didn't have anyone to guide me. I want to, I feel like both things can be true without it being like,
Yeah.
oh, it was because of them. But I think that's the reason for the longest like I didn't like saying that.
I think, like, just to make a comment on that, I don't think it was like them intentionally not guiding you. I think it was just the simple like facts, the circumstance of they're doing everything they possibly can to do what you said, like provide and be there for you and support you in ways that they can. But I wouldn't say that it was an intentional of them like not choosing to guide you, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
would
get what you
say.
mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I think that for the longest I avoided because I didn't like that it sounded like that.
Like they were,
oh, I didn't have guidance,
yeah.
I didn't have this. And I think someone else would be like, well, where was your parents? I'm gonna actually storytell and say something right now.
Story time.
Okay, so it was my first car
Yeah.
that I was gonna purchase after borrowing my sister's for like a little bit. I learned how to drive with my sister's car.
Yeah.
I was making money at college. I worked at the college. And I was like, I'm going to buy my first car.
Yeah.
Okay. My mom wasn't going to help me because she didn't really know. And that was okay. I didn't ask her. My dad, I felt like my dad, I would ask him, right? I would ask him a lot of these questions because that's my dad, right? Like the provider of the family, like he should know, right? We should, or I don't know. He was my go-to person. My dad, hardworking man, right? Like he's gonna prioritize work. He is. So he didn't have time to take me to the dealership. So I was just like, well, like how do I do this? I guess I'm gonna have to do this on my own. So and I asked my cousin to go with me. The reason I would always ask my cousin is because she was only like 2 years older than me. So she was kind of like my bestie family cousin, you know?
Your go-to.
And she was my go-to. And I told her like, okay, can we go to the dealerships? Girl, so I'm from HP and we went to the little dealerships on Firestone. And if you know, you know, like the used car dealerships, like they're scamming. You know,
I'm
not all
getting
of
excited
them.
because I literally have a similar
A similar
experience.
story? Okay,
Yes.
tell me after. Tell
I
me
will, I
after.
will, I will.
So, sorry, sugar. So, okay, I don't recommend. Hopefully, if this is gonna be your experience, I don't recommend because it's just not the best way to go. Please go through a credit union, your own
Yeah.
credit union. Okay. I didn't had no idea about nothing. We go, okay, beautiful car, give me that one. We're gonna
Yeah.
do that one. Okay, they crunch the numbers, they do the numbers, show me the numbers. Do you think I know what that means? No, but am I gonna sign? Yes. So I signed,
Oh,
I
yeah.
freaking signed. I leave with a Ford Fusion. And
She's bumping down the road in her new
I'm
car.
so happy.
Yeah.
My dad sees it, he's so happy because,
Yeah.
first gen things like,
Yeah.
is he asking me anything about numbers? No. So then I go to my friend's house. This is a time where like I was part of a girl group. Well, whatever. It was a great time in my
Yeah.
life at that time. The mom,
Yeah.
she's super cool. I don't want to say anything bad. She's not. Well, she's first generation, but obviously like my friend is not. So
And your friend's the one that went with you?
no,
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 no, your cousin,
so
right?
my cousin went. This is the next day. This is
Oh,
the
okay,
next
okay,
day.
the
I
next
roll
day.
up to my
Yes.
friend's house.
Yes,
Roll up to
yes,
my friend's
yes.
house. The mom, I think she asked me to see the paperwork, right?
Uh-huh.
And
I
she
love that
sees.
she's
Isn't that so cute? That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like I don't want to say anything bad. Like she's
Yeah.
so nice. Like she
Yeah.
was like the go to mom in our friend group because
Yeah.
she was younger.
She could relate.
She could relate. She would like talk to us. It was really
Yeah.
cool. She checked my stuff and she noticed like, girl, these numbers, you're gonna be so F,
No.
you're gonna be so F.
But
And she's like, we have to go back. We have to go back.
yeah.
And luckily, like I don't even know, guys, but you have 2 days. I don't know if this is still true, but 2 days in California to take a car back.
No
And
way.
yeah.
I didn't
And you
know
get
that.
all your money back. Yeah, 2 days. So you better think fast. So we go back, and she's cool because we go back. She does
Yeah.
all of the talking for me. Like she's like, nope, you're gonna give it back to her. Blah 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 blah. And this man was so mad. He was so mad that he did what he had to do in his computer. He came back and then he just dropped the envelope on the table, and he like went back to the back office.
Dang, bitter.
He was angry.
He was
angry.
bitter.
And I will say, shout out to her. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that because she really looked out for me,
Yeah.
I was gonna be stuck paying, like an old, who knows if it was like super good, right? Like the
Yeah.
engine and everything, car for like years and paying super interest on it. And so she really saved me. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful. I'm so happy. But I think that's like the perfect example of like being first generation and not
Literally.
knowing like what the heck to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in that scenario, like she really helped me. Like if it wasn't for her, like
You would have been stuck with that car.
yeah, and
And debt, who knows,
yeah, and so that is like one of the perfect examples of like first gen stories
Struggles, yeah.
and struggles because we just really are out here trying to figure out life on our own.
Figure out life, and sometimes it feels like you have no one to turn to ask these questions. And it's not to say that our parents, well, for me it would be my mom, like it's not to say that she didn't want to help me, it's just she didn't know, like these are things that you learn as you go through life.
Yeah.
And our families, they had a very different upbringing, and so these are things that they can't relate to. But I think that really is such a perfect example of what it is like to be
Crazy.
first gen. Thank God for your friend's mom for
Yeah,
saving you.
she was cool.
But wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I know I was saying I had a similar experience because I have like a very similar experience actually.
Oh, okay.
But I actually kept the car, okay?
No.
This was me, like freshly 20. I had just gotten a more professional job. I was working at a daycare. I have a background in like child development. But so I was starting to work at this daycare. I started off as part-time. I didn't have my own car. I was using my mom's car whenever it was her days off. Before that, I was just busing it everywhere. And so it finally came to the time to be like, okay, I need to buy myself a car. Like, and that was just like my thought, like, okay, I'm going to buy a car. The next day, one of my coworkers takes me to the dealership. And she takes me with another one of my coworkers. These two girls were like my besties at work.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. But it was literally just three girlies in a
You know why I'm laughing? You know why I'm laughing? Because can you imagine the salesman seeing three girlies pulling up and he's like, perfect. This is
No,
he's
literally,
like, perfect, I got this.
literally,
I
exact
know,
thoughts.
sadly.
Same thing.
Uh-huh.
Those dealerships on the side of the street, like this was on Harbor. If you're from Santa Ana, it's on Harbor. But I pull up. It was after work, so I'm still in my work uniform, like not even presentable or anything like that. And I'm like, okay, I want to buy a car, and I don't know not one thing about buying a car. I don't even remember if I had mentioned to my mom that I was gonna buy a car. I think I had mentioned to her like, oh, I'm gonna look at cars, but I didn't think I would pull up with the car like that same next day. So we get to looking at cars. I pick it. I love it. And we get to signing papers. It's just me and my two bestie girlies in there. Same thing. He's like having me sign things. Mind you, I had no credit card at this time.
Yeah.
I don't even have a full-time job yet. I have no idea what interest rates mean. Nothing. All I knew is that I needed a car, and I was gonna get that car like no matter what.
It's like buying a dress. This one, all right.
I'm 20 years old. Like I know nothing, and I sign it, and I get the car. It's my Corolla, by the way.
Oh
Yeah, I still have that car.
hey.
It was like a blessing in disguise though, because yes, I had like a fucking high ass interest rate.
Yeah.
But I was never late on those payments. I made those payments. Soon after that, I got a full-time job at my that current job. So I was able to like pay a little more. And then later on in life, I decided to get a credit card. So I was like literally like paying out of pocket, like doing everything I can to pay this card. Never late, paid it on time. Now it's finally paid off. But dude, like these things, you don't know. You don't. My mom, I remember she was like so worried and stressed for me when I told her like, oh, like these are gonna be the payments I'm gonna be making monthly, and she was like, I know, como yeah, you know, like worried for me, and I'm like, it's okay, mom. At one point, I was like freaking out. I'm like, what the heck did I get myself into? But thank goodness, like I was able to push through and pay off that car. But literally similar thing. Like I don't even know like what my thought process was. All I knew was I wanted a car and I was gonna get that car.
Yeah.
For me, it was like such a simple like, oh, I just do A, B, and C and I get the car. But it's not like that, and you don't know those things like unless you experience them, or unless you have that guidance to help you through.
No guidebook. There is no guidebook. Somebody please make a first gen handbook. This is also one of the main reasons why I wanted to start these videos with Steph, because if we can help out one other little girl that was like me at 19 buying a car, you know, like trying to navigate life, like please take all the tips and advice that you can, versus, I mean, whether it's here, whether it's like a good role model at wherever you're at, like Google.
Ask questions.
That's what I was about to say. Google is like your best friend, and but it's not going to be as good as asking other people that are in the fields or like you know, experts on that. I feel like now that I'm an adult, like I always call everybody, you know, like firsthand, what are the tips and tricks? Don't be embarrassed, because it really could help you. At that time, everything was word of mouth. So you really had to know the right people, which as first gens, you do not know. You only have your family, and you ask them and they're like, girl, what are you talking about? I don't know. You know, like I have another story, but I'll probably save it for the next video. But let us know in the comments of you are first generation, if what your first generation struggle is, what's your first generation appreciation comment.
Being like the oldest sister, I didn't have that like older sister that I could just go to, and so if I can just be that to somebody out there, like that would mean a lot, because I know how lonely it can feel, how scary it can get, with not really having somebody that you could go to these questions for and these experiences for. So we're so open to just being that support and answering any questions you guys may have. Let us know what topics you guys want to hear too. I think going into our 30s, I think we've learned a lot about different areas in our life, whether that be professional, relationship-wise, just I feel like we're on so many different journeys that we have a little bit of tips and advice that we can give on, and just be that support for somebody out there that may need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so maybe next time we'll make a part two about
Yeah.
first gen, because that is such a big topic and so many experiences, so many um everything, like it's literally our life right now, you
Yeah.
know? Like so that's
We're
not gonna
yeah.
end anytime soon
No,
in
yeah.
terms of like learning lessons and navigating.
We're still learners
Right
of
now,
life for sure.
there's still so much I don't know because
Same.
navigating life for the first time, but we definitely will make a part two
Yeah.
and let us know in the comments anything you guys want us to talk about or share with you. We'll
Yes,
see you
yes.
on the next one.
Thank you.